Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Greeting to everyone. In video 18, we said that the Quran presents two perspectives on monotheism, numerical monotheism and non-numerical monotheism. Is one of these perspectives correct and other incorrect? Can we say that both are correct? I'm Hassan Moradi, and in this video from the channel Echoes from the Quran, I want to answer these questions. Every morning we see the sun rising from the east, gradually ascending until it reaches the middle of the sky and then slowly descending until it disappears in the west. Because of this, we assume that the sun revolves around the earth. We also do not feel the earth rotating on its axis. Therefore, our natural human perception is that we are a fixed center in the universe and the sun and stars revolve around the earth. Since ancient times, some people adopted this perception. They believe that the earth rotates on its axis and revolves around the sun. These individuals have to present scientific or rational arguments to support this view because their senses, like the senses of most people, perceive something else. Today, experimental science confirms that the theory which contradicts our ordinary sensory experience is correct. A similar situation exists regarding atomic particles. No human beings can sense such particles directly, nor can we, through our senses, understand that the objects we see are composed of extremely small particles. Yet, experimental science tells us that this theory, again contrary to our sensory perception, is correct. There are many other examples where scientific theories contradict or imitate sensory impressions. The theory of numerical monotheism, in terms of its acceptability to general public, is similar to the old belief that the earth is stationary. Familiar patterns such as the relationship between a mother and child or a sculptor and a statue have shaped the way we imagine the relationship between God and creation. That is, we imagine God like a mother whose children are the creatures of the world. Numerical monotheism means that God is the only creator of the universe. In this view, if God created 99 things, then when counting the being of the world, we would consider him as one being alongside the others and say that the total number of beings is 100. One being is God and 99 beings are his creations. Because in this theory God is countable alongside other creatures, it is called numerical monotheism. The important point is that in this theory, God cannot be an infinite, completely solid being with no emptiness within, because such a being would leave no room inside or outside itself for a second being to exist. Now, let us turn to the Quran to see whether the word ahad refers to numerical or non-numerical monotheism. The Quran describes Allah as ahad. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Al-Ikhlas, number 1. In the next verse, the Quran describes him as Samad, Allahu Samad. From the Quranic perspective, God is not like a mother who has a space within herself for a fetus to grow. Therefore, it says he is Samad. The primary meaning of Samad, which appears only once in the Quran, is a solid entity with no hollow space. For this reason, it is also used to describe someone with no weaknesses. Thus, his creatures cannot occupy any space within him. Allahu Samad, Al-Ikhlas, number 2. If a being is completely solid and we cannot imagine another being inside it, then it cannot give birth. In addition to being solid, this being is infinite. Another meaning of God being Samad is that He is independent of all beings, while all beings depend on Him. Only an infinite being can possess such a quality. Therefore, the Quran says He neither begets nor is begotten. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. Al-Ikhlas, verse 3. An infinite being cannot end such that something could exist from it or be born from it. Thus, the birth of a finite or infinite being from an infinite being is a clear contradiction. Likewise, an infinite being cannot be born from a finite or infinite beings. Therefore, we must not count Him alongside other beings. He is Ahad, and nothing is comparable to Him. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Al-Ikhlas 4. This means that nothing, whether finite or infinite, can be His equal. Kuf. For this reason, we cannot imagine Him as the first being with others coming after Him. We cannot even say He is the inner reality while other beings are His outward manifestations, because this would imply that He is limited to the inner realm. Instead, we must say He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. Al-Hadid, verse 3. According to this verse, God is the first and the last in every sense, temporal, causal, or otherwise. His being first does not mean He is the first being in time who late create others. His being last does not mean He will remain after all creatures are gone. Such childish imagery places God inside time and space. But time and space, as commonly understood, depend entirely on matter and motion, and the one who creates matter cannot be confined within it. If first refers to causal priority or ontological rank, then the Quran says God is the entire chain of causation, not merely the first link. He is all levels of existence, not just the highest one. If first means inner and last means outer, then the Quran says He is both inner and outer. The world does not have two sides, inner and outer, such that God is on the one side and creation on the other. According to non-numerical monotheism, there is no place for a second being. This supposed other cannot exist at the end of time, nor at the end of causal chain, nor on the outer side of the universe. An infinite being leaves no room for another. Containing only makes sense when after one we can imagine two or three. But when a second cannot be imagined, counting becomes impossible. This is why this view is called non-numerical monotheism. It is clear that accepting the theory is extremely difficult for ordinary people. Non-numerical monotheism is very similar to the theory of quantum fields in quantum physics. An ordinary person cannot easily accept that all electrons in the universe are simply states of one thing, the electron quantum field. In my opinion, the best preparation for understanding non-numerical monotheism in theology is studying the concept of infinity in mathematics and quantum field theory in physics. Of course, these theories themselves are among the most counterintuitive in the history of science. If we accept non-numerical monotheism and say that there is only one infinite solid being in the entire universe, one that neither begets nor is begotten, then the next question is, can such a being create anything? And if so, how? To answer this, let us turn to the realm of imagination within our own minds, because our imagination is both infinite and solid. It is infinite because we cannot imagine an edge or boundary for it. We cannot walk in a straight line within our imagination and reach its borders. We cannot imagine that creating imaginary beings reduces the remaining space of imaginations. It is solid because nothing can enter it from outside, nor can anything exit it. We easily imagine things. These imagined things exist within our imaginations, but not like a fetus inside a mother. They do not occupy space within us, nor can they leave our minds. Our minds cannot give birth to them. In the same way that we create things in our imagination without needing empty space or losing anything from ourselves, God creates the entire universe. We are the true owners of our imagined beings because we did not use anything external to create them, and nothing can take them away from us. Likewise, God is the true owner of all beings. The Quran repeatedly says that the heavens and the earth belong to Him. He gives life and causes death, and He is capable of all things. His absolute power arises from His true ownership. له ملك السماوات والأرض يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. Al-Hadid verses 2. وَلِلَّهِ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. Al-Imran 189 and Al-Ma'idah 120. True ownership is not like the legal or social ownership we humans have. In legal ownership, society decides who owns what, and society can revoke the ownership. Society can even revoke our ownership of our own physical bodies. For example, when someone is sentenced to death, they cannot prevent their body from being taken from them. But in true ownership, even if the entire world opposes us, they cannot take away even the smallest things that exist in our mind. Another sign of true ownership is that I have existential awareness and oversight over the beings within my mind. But I do not have such awareness over external things I legally own. I do not even have complete awareness of the structure and function of my own physical body. For this reason, the relationship between God and His creatures is like the relationship between me and the beings within my mind, a relationship of existential encompassing and presence. In the previous video, while explaining verse 7 of Al-Mujadala, we said that God is the force of every group of three. This verse speaks of God's constant companionship with everything and every gathering. This companionship is not like the companionship of one person sitting among the three others. It is like my companionship with the beings inside my mind. If a person truly knows this divine companionship, they fear nothing but God. God tells Moses and his brother, "Do not fear. I am certainly with you. I hear and I see." قال لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى. Taha 46. The companionship never ceases, not for a moment, not in a place. Therefore, God has complete hearing and seeing regarding His creatures and their actions. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. Hadid verses 4. This seeing and hearing does not require eyes or ears. We say we see and hear or imagined beings, yet this does not require physical senses, because we encompasses them. We both create them and know all their actions. We do not know them through sensory images, but through existential knowledge. Another sign that Quran presents non-numerical monotheism is its use of the word ayah, sign, for created things. An ayah is something that points to something else, like an image in a mirror pointing to the one reflected, or a shadow pointing to the object casting it. God says He will show us His signs in the horizons and within ourselves until it becomes clear that He is the truth. A sign is not the truth itself, it points to the truth. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق horizons وفي أنفسهم. Fussilat 53. In this verse, God calls Himself the truth. Therefore, all signs that points to Him are false in the sense that a shadow or reflection is false compared to the real object, not in the moral sense. At the end of this verse, a profound point is mentioned. God says that beyond seeing the signs, you can also encounter the one to whom the signs point, because He is more evident to you than anything else. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. God's encompassing presence aligned perfectly with what we said above through ownership and His companionship with all beings. Just as we encompass the beings in our imagination, God encompasses all creation. Just as imagined beings cannot see us as one of their peers, creatures cannot perceive God as an object opposite them. If He cannot be seen opposite us, then how is meeting Him possible? Meeting does not only occur by facing something in front of us. We can imagine another kind of meeting. Again, let us look at ourselves. Sometimes we are observed in observing the beings in our imagination. Sometimes we step back and observe them from above. Sometimes we go further and erase them all, focusing only on the empty space of mind. Sometimes we go even further and become aware only of ourselves. In this state, we do not meet or imagine beings. We do not even consider the space in which they appear. We meet only ourselves. Is something similar possible in our relationship with God? Can we set aside His creatures and see only Him? It seems that the end of verse 53 of Surah Fussilat points to this possibility. The verse first mentions the signs in the horizons and within ourselves, then asks rhetorically, is it not enough that your Lord is more evident to you than all these signs? أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. The answer to a rhetorical question is yes, meaning such a direct encounter is indeed possible. Most translators interpret Shahid here as witness, because in all other Quranic uses it means witness. God repeatedly says He is a witness of all things. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Nisa 33 or Ma'idah 117 or Hajj 17. But in this context, Shahid seems to mean the one witnessed, because the verse is not about God witnessing creations. It is about creation witnessing God. The beginning of the verse is about signs being shown to us, meaning they are visible to us. Therefore, the end of the verse must also be about God being visible to us. The word Allah here should be understood as before all or beyond all, meaning He is more evident to us than anything. Being evident to us means being encountered by us. That is why the next verse speaks of people doubting the meeting with their Lord. ألا إنهم في مرية من لقاء ربهم ألا إنه بكل شيء محيط. Fussilat 54. People do not doubt meeting the signs. They doubt meeting the one who owns the signs. To understand this better, let us return to ourselves. By ignoring the beings in our imagination, we can encounter the mind itself. By ignoring the beings of the world, we can encounter the reality that they point to. We must not imagine meeting God as meeting a limited being like someone sitting on a throne or suspended in the sky. Meeting God is like meeting ourselves. Because we are so absorbed in our mental creations, we struggle to free ourselves from them and focus on our true self. The Quran says that because people forget God, He caused them to forget themselves. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُم. Hashr 19. Whoever remembers themselves can remember God. The greatest argument of atheists is that they do not see God in the world. They imagine God as one of the beings inside the universe and expect to find Him somewhere, usually in the sky. But someone who has found themselves knows that they cannot see themselves inside their own mind as one of their mental creations. God can be found through contemplative unity. I mean that God can be seen through meditation focused on unity. To perceive Him, we must empty the mind of everything, both sensory images and self-generated imaginations. At a higher level, we must even set aside the memories and boundaries by which we define ourselves. For example, by forgetting all the beings in my mind, I reach myself as a perceiving or creating being. But by forgetting even this limited perceiver creator, one can reach an awareness of infinite creator and perceiver. Of course, this is extremely difficult. If someone claims, I have understood God, it is clear that they have not, because they still see themselves as the one who understands God. The experience of encountering the infinite is something that cannot be remembered or expressed in words. Mystics have used the metaphor of a moss burning in a flame to describe this state. After burning, the moss cannot speak. In this metaphor, what draws the moss into the flame is its love for the light. In humans, love for the infinite light ultimately frees them from all limits and annihilates them. Sadi, the famous Iranian poet and mystic, wrote, O bird of dawn, learn love from the moss. ای مرغ سحر عشق ز پروانه بیاموز. For it gave its life, yet no voice returned. کان سوخته را جان شد و آواز نیامد. These claimants who seek him are unaware. این مدعیان در طلبش بیخبرانند. For whoever truly found him never returned with news. کان را که خبری شد خبری باز نیامد. Thank you for being with us.